Hello viewers, yet another session. Today we will discuss a very important and interesting aspect of tourism studies, which is travel motivators. So we will look into what are the different types of travel motivators, into how many categories they can be grouped. We will also look into their relationship and the role that they play in the overall tourism marketing scheme of things. We will also look into the market trends and tourism marketing trends. So what is motivation? See, the term motivation, it is derived from the word motive, which means needs, desire, wants or drives within the individual. So since it is within the individual, can be defined as a psychological phenomenon which is arising from a want, a desire, a drive, and this subsequently it encourages or pushes the individual to engage in a specific behavior or activity which will fulfill that need, that want, that desire or the drive. Now in the travel and tourism context also, tourists, they travel to fulfill certain desires, certain wants. So this collectively we can call them as travel motivators. So travel motivators, it could be the need to change the routine. You want to get out from the routine environment or the routine daily routines that you have and take a break and feel rejuvenated, or to explore and discover new cultures, new customs, which is very different from yours, or a desire to improve health. You want to avail medical facilities, go somewhere else and look for best care medical facilities, to rest and to relax. This is one of the primary reason why tourism started, rest and relaxation for leisure activities. To indulge in luxury, this can be also one of the motive. Business meetings, there are so many conventions, workshops, meetings which are happening related to business. So this can be also one of the travel motives. And then scientific expeditions, etc., so on and so forth. So we have a multitude of travel motivators. Now the question is, why it is important to study travel motivators? See, travel motivators, they are used as predictors of traveling behavior and tourist choices. And today, tourism is a very competitive sector. Lots of destinations, lots of organizations, they are all vying for a pie of this share of tourism revenue. Now, in such a scenario, knowing your market is very important. And when you have to know your market, when you have to know the potential tourists, what is important is why they choose certain destination and why they are not choosing other destination. Even within a category, supposing if there is a person who wants to go for a beach destination, among the various beach destination which is on offer, why does he choose destination A and not destination B? So to understand that tourist choices and tourist behavior, we need to go back to the root cause. And what is the root cause? The root cause is we need to understand what is it that they want, what is it that the tourist needs, what is it that the tourist desire, because motivation, it stems from all these things, and the act of fulfilling and of these needs and desire, this is what we call as the motivators in travel terminology. Now motivators, what it does, it initiates the decision making process. Once you have a desire, then this is an initiator for your decision making and has a direct impact on the decision tourists make. So it is an initiation for the decision making, because if you are given a choice or if you have all the conditions to make travel possible. For example, you have time constraints before, you have money constraints before. So all the conditions, when they are favorable, that is, you have time at your hand, you have disposable income at your hand. So then you look for options. You look for destinations where you can fulfill your desire. So if your desire is to go to a hill destination, to a hill station. So what happens is you look for options within the hill destinations. And this is where the motivation is very of critical importance when we are studying the tourist behavior. Now, once you understand the needs and the desire of the tourist, then it is you are in a better frame of mind, you are in a better condition to understand, to build or to identify the type of products and the services which they need. So if you know the needs and desire, then you would be able to come up with a product or service which will be fulfilling all those unsatisfied needs and desire. And this is where the marketing mix around different types of motives, identified motives, can be made. So we use the tourist motivation analysis to make appropriate strategies of tourism products and marketing mixes. Now, if tourism travel motivators are so important, what is it that the tourist destination marketer needs to do? There are two things which a destination marketer has to do. One is to find out the travel motives. The second is to formulate a marketing strategy to fulfill these motives. Just do the simple steps. It sounds simple, but this is a very complex situation because finding travel motivators itself is a very long, complex process. So let us see what a marketer needs to do while trying to find out the travel motivators and what he needs to do, or the various issues which comes up when we have to formulate a marketing strategy. So the first one is key to find out the travel motivators. There are 3 points. One is you need to identify the variables motivating the tourist to travel, the specific motives, and then categorize them. Categorization is important because once we do a categorization of the different types of motives, then from there emerges the different forms of tourism. If you say cultural motive, people want to explore new forms of culture, new forms of customs, new forms of languages, and then the way people dress, you want to go and then you want to explore that. So that is, we club them together into culture, the cultural tourism. This is a form of tourism which specifically deals with how cultural tourists behave, what are the tourist products which needs, or the services which such type of tourists would be needing. So the study of and the identification of specific motives is very important. Then we also need to know, the marketers also need to know the various theories and models which explore the the travel motivators. Then last is he needs also to know what are the challenges in understanding the travel motivators, because once the challenges are identified, then you have to skirt around that. The marketers have to make sure that these challenges are mitigated, if it is a positive challenge or if it is a negative challenge, because all challenges, it poses a kind of obstacle to the overall understanding, and you need to identify that. Only when you identify, then you can go around and then come up with a strategy which would be beneficial for all. So let us look at the identification or the categorization of the groups. We will look at some of the groups which has been postulated by certain authors. One is the 4 basic travel motivators, which has been postulated by McIntosh and Goeldern. They say there are 4 travel motivators can be classified into 4 types. One is the physical motivator, the cultural motivator, the interpersonal motivator, and the status and prestige motivators. Physical motivators, as the term itself says, physical, it relates to relaxation, to movement of the body, to the physical activity which is done. So you can club the travel motives which is related to rest and relaxation, and even the physical activities like the adventure form of tourism can come into this type of physical motivators. Next is the cultural motivators. It is a way of choosing and acquiring knowledge of different cultures, the customs, the life, people, art forms, music, dance, so on and so forth. So this all comes under cultural motivators. Next is the interpersonal motivators. In interpersonal motivators, it is with a desire to meet new people. And this motives, it relates to visiting your friends and relatives, which we popularly call as the VFR. V stands for visitors, visiting or visit. F stands for friends and R for relatives. And in India, it is one of the most important segment of domestic tourist movement. And to gain new experiences, because interpersonal skills, it develops when you gain new experiences, when you gain new knowledge. So interpersonal motives, all this comes under there. And then last is the status and prestige motivators. Now if it is travel for one's esteem and status, and this kind of travel, it includes travel for business, for training, or pursuing education, or maybe even to certain people, they want to come back and then they want to tell and about the experiences that they have. So this is kind of a status or a prestige symbol for them, that they have been able to go on holidays frequently, or to a local or to a place where people usually do not have a chance to travel. So these are the 4 basic travel motivators which has been postulated by McIntosh and Goeldern. Again, based on the nature of motives, we can have a personal, social, adventure, environmental, cultural, and so on. So what comes under personal travel motivators? Under personal travel motivators, the curiosity and the desire to expand knowledge. If you want to enhance your self-esteem, that also comes under personal, because you are upgrading yourself. Then the need to change routine, to come out from the mundane everyday environment, you want to take a break. So that is a personal gratification that you are looking for. So that is also a personal travel motivator. Then the desire to improve your own health or those of your family, immediate families, and family research. Like supposing there are, this is where root tourism comes. There are people, NRIs, who have gone and then settled abroad, people of Indian origin who have settled to various countries all over the world. They want to come back and find out the roots, their roots, where they belong and where their forefathers had come from. And this is a kind of family research, which is a personal type of travel motivators. Me time. I want to have my solo time. I want to have a time where I travel and I learned to experience and to evaluate myself and see, and just give me time to relax and then to know myself. So these are all personal travel motivators. When you talk about social travel motivators, it is visiting friends and relatives come here, the desire to cultivate new relationships, social interactions, then you develop your interpersonal skills. So all these are social, to experience different landscape, views, wildlife, or even to enjoy the outdoor recreation. This is different from adventure. Adventure means you are going for outdoor or maybe indoor activities, whereas in outdoor recreation, it comes under environmental. Now the cultural, like we have also discussed before also here, it is a desire to explore the custom, the culture, the art, the folklore, the history, the food, the religion of certain people which are not from the domain area where you are staying. Now business, there are business conventions and workshops, so traveling for business purposes is a business travel motivator. Scientific expeditions are there. Educational trips, there are trips, special trips which are organized by educational institutions. We call them as educational tours or study tours. And then students, they also travel to other states, other countries for enrolling themselves in programs, study programs, certificate programs, degree programs, postgraduate degree programs, or maybe even for PhD degree programs, academic programs. So these are also part of the, it is a motive, the education is a motive, the academic education is a motive for this travel, for the motive for the travel. Now, destination itself can also be a parameter for categorizing the travel motivators. One is we have the non-destination specific motives, and another is the destination specific motives. It is very clear. The term itself explains it all. In non-destination specific motives, what happens is motivators that are not affected or related to the destination. Tourists, they don't have a choice. They don't have a choice in choosing. They are bound to it. Like supposing you are going to visit your relative who is staying in city A. So if your motive is to visit them, you have to go to city A. You cannot go elsewhere. So the destination is something which you do not choose. And we are bound to it. Because your relative stays in city A, you have to go and visit city A if you want to meet them, if your motive is to meet them. Likewise, business meetings, they are organized in a certain city or a certain town. So you cannot choose a destination here. You have to go, if you have to attend a convention, a business convention, so the place where the convention is being held is your destination. You cannot change it. Education travel, you want to go and study in the USA. To USA becomes the destination, and you cannot, you don't have the choice because your motive is to study in USA. So USA becomes the destination, a non-destination specific motivator. Now, in destination specific motivator is, it gives tourists the liberty to choose the destination they want to visit. This category of motivators are related to destination and is very large and is very difficult to classify. Any form of motives, like say you want to go to a beach destination. So the destination here, you have a choice to make. And among the varied choices among this, you can choose whatever you want. So you can choose your own destination. So this is what we call specific motives. It is also becoming more complex. Now, based on the reason for travel, you can have recuperation and regeneration. So your health issues and all, it comes here. Compensation and social integration, it can be for escape, for communication, freedom and self-determination, self-realization, happiness, and for broadening the mind. So these are based on the reasons for travel. So travel motives, they also depends upon the status, the attitude, and the monetary situation. Now what happens is, when you have this situation of categorizing the different types of travel based on the categories, like I said, then we move on to the different types of tourism comes into that. And as we look into this, we also need to look into the theories, as well as the type of models which are there which studies tourist motivation. Now in this theory, we have the first one. We will talk about the push and the pull theory. In the push and the pull theory, it says certain forces either pushes a tourist to travel or pulls a tourist to travel. So what happens is, there are certain forces. Say in push theory, a push segment, it is quite personal. You are in your environment, and there are certain elements which forces you or which pushes you to go and opt for a travel. For example, you have a very hectic lifestyle. So what do? You want to take a break. Or you have an everyday routine which is stressful for you. So that triggers in you, pushes you to go for a break, to take a holiday. So that is the push theory. Next is pull theory. Now in pull, what happens is, the attractiveness or the attributes of a destination, it pulls you towards it. For example, you have read in a newspaper or a magazine, you have seen there was an article about a certain destination and you are quite interested to go there. So it triggers in you that interest to go there. So that is a pull. So push is the tourist oriented, where pull is destination oriented. One is origin oriented, one is the destination oriented. And again, in the push factor, what happens is, you have certain unfulfilled desire and everything is coming to such a situation that you want to leave your home turf and then go. That is push. And pull is, like I said, it is the draw, the attraction that, or even the promotional campaign which a destination is doing, the marketing efforts which the destination is doing, which has caught your mind, and then you would want to go for it. So that is the pull theory. Then there is another model, which is the need-based model. And in this Maslow hierarchy model of needs is one of the most famous one. And in this, what happens is, the basic essence in this is that they identified 5 primary areas of needs which is applicable to most human beings. So this starts with the physiological needs, which is the basic survival needs that we call it. Then it progresses on to the safety needs, then love and belonging, then you go on to self-esteem and self-realization, so self-actualization. Now, the trigger point here is when the physiological needs is at the bottom of the pyramid. It is a pyramid where the larger part or the base is the physiological or the basic survival needs that we have. And once you fulfill that, then an individual goes on to the next level to fulfill it, and so on. So out of these 5 levels, once the basic one is fulfilled, then you go on to the next one, then you go on to the next one, and so on and so forth. So physiological needs, it is the needs that you require to survive. For example, the food is one of them. Then you need oxygen, you need air to breathe. So these are the basic requirements if a human being has to survive, and these are what we call as the physiological needs. Once the physiological need is fulfilled, what happens is we look for safety. Everyone wants to be safe and secure. So this is the next level. And in this, your shelter comes, and not only limited to shelter, you also talk about safety and security in terms of financial security. You also look into in terms of physical security. So these are the types of safety and security measures which needs to be fulfilled if you want to go on to the next level. So the third level is love and belongingness. So once the security, once you feel you are safe and secure, all of us want respect and to be respected. So this is where self-esteem comes, the confidence, trying to build that yourself, and the respect that you demand or the respect that you want from others to come. So this is at the third level. Next is belongingness. I made a mistake in that. Belongingness is when you have that social interaction, when your interaction with your family and your friends, and this need for social to be there within the social structure. Then the one which I had explained was on self-esteem. Self-esteem is very important. And the last one is self-actualization. What is self-actualization? Self-actualization is when we talk about getting to know your full potential. So this is what self-actualization is all about. Now in this context, we also need to, what is relevant here is we want to know the types of tourists which is there. There are different types of tourists. Block says at the one extreme end is the allocentric tourists. These are very adventurous kind. They do not want to go and repeat tourist destinations. They want to go and explore new destinations, and they are curious. They want to explore more, so they are allocentric and they take risks. At the extreme end are the psychocentric. Now psychocentric, what they do is they are very cautious, overcautious, and they do not want to take risks. So they visit destinations which they are familiar with. They visit destinations and they don't want to experiment either with the accommodation or the food. They go to very safe and secure places which they are familiar with. And at the middle of this is the mid-centric tourist. Now mid-centric tourists, like the term suggests, they are not that very risky type or the very adventurous type, but they are also willing to experiment new things. So this type of tourist typologies, it also has got some relation to do with the need-based pyramid that we have studied in Maslow hierarchy models. So I thought it is here that we should be knowing a little bit about the tourist typologies also. There is also another 5-layer model, holiday motivation model, which has been postulated by Peirce based on Maslow's theory of needs, and it is the tourist career ladder. Here it says relaxation is at the bottom, and after you fulfill that relaxation needs, you move on to stimulation, which is more of stronger emotions, and then next is the social needs of interacting with others. The extent to which individuals are motivated to indulge in leisure activities based on mental activities like learning, exploring. Then the social component, it is related to assessing the individual to the extent where he would partake in leisure activities based on the social, to fulfill their social needs. Then next one is the complete mastery component, where they assess the level of to the extent where the individual would achieve mastery, challenge or competitiveness. And the stimulus avoidance component, it is assessing the desire to escape and to get away from overstimulating life situation, like taking that break away from your routine work. So travel motive theory, it can be again based on escape and search alone concept. Escape, like I said, it is fleeing from stressful or the work environment, and it is happening now. And modern day life has become so complex that it has become so stressful, especially in urban cities where competition is at an all-time high. So you are stressful and you want to escape that. And when you escape from it comes the search part, the search for new areas to explore, and even the search for within. How and who am I? Setting an introspective study, this is also important, and you can do it when you travel to a new destination. You are free from all the stretch of life, and then you can go on for this search concept. Next is you challenge to understand the challenges in travel motivator study. The tourism is an industry and a sector which has got diverse and a complex range of tourist needs, wants and desire. And because human elements are also involved in it, it is very difficult to uncover all the motives. There are two types of motives. One is manifest motives and one is the latent motives. If you go and ask a respondent, if you are doing a research and you are interacting with people and you are asking them their motive of travel, what they say and what they tell you, that is what we call as the manifest motives. But then there might be other motives related to that which they are not telling you. Maybe they say they want to go on a very luxurious trip. So that is the manifest motive. But what they are not telling you is, I am not in a position, I cannot afford such type of trips. So that is a latent motive. So, and it is important, and because we cannot know all of this motive, especially the latent motives, it becomes very difficult to understand travel motivators in its totality. Now, motivation is again dynamic and a flexible variable. Tourists evolve over time and they even change. So for the same person, from one trip to another, the motive may change, and also through life stages. Like when a person is a bachelor, so he has a different type of motive of going out with his friends and enjoying and going for destinations which gives him the freedom to explore. Whereas when he has got a family of his own, his travel motives also changes. Now you have to look into you have to take into consideration the motives of your family members and take it into consideration when you take a travel decision or your travel choices. So your motive also changes. And from trip to trip, even within each life stage also, from trip to trip or from one stage to another. For example, in a year you have gone for one holiday, but in the next to fulfill a certain motive, so to go for a beach destination you have gone, and in the next you do not want to repeat that, you want to go for another newer forms of tourism. So your motive also keeps changing. So these are the certain challenges which you need to understand when you have to do a travel motivators study, and this is very complexing for tourism marketers. Now, once the travel motivators are identified, it helps guide the marketers to plan the strategy, to design the strategy, to develop the strategy, and to market their product. For example, it is absolutely essential for marketers to determine what motivated a group of people to visit a destination, and then you advertise that using that particular motive in their future promotional campaign. If you have identified the motive, you use that motive when you are planning your promotional campaign, because you have already identified this is the motive which needs to be fulfilled, and you use it in your promotional campaign, so you are targeting it. It serves two purposes. One is it helps induce repeat travel, and another is it encourages new tourists to travel. Now, there are certain components, basic components in a marketing strategy. There are different types of marketing strategy, but almost all of them have these 5 components. One is you have to identify the target market, because all your marketing efforts is going to be focused, is going to be centered around the target market. So identification of the target market is very important. The type of destination offerings that you have, the type of services and the products that you have to offer, based on that you identify your target market. And while identifying a target market, a very important aspect which needs to be considered is you generate a buyer's persona. What is a buyer's persona? Buyer's persona is you are visualizing a person, a potential tourist. And when you visualize a potential tourist, you visualize the specific characteristic of that. For example, an adventure tour operator, when he wants to market his product, he visualizes from 25 years to 55 years, a male or female, physically active, who has got enrollment in gyms and who daily exercises. So when you give the specific characteristics, and then when you are targeting, you also give the income level also. You visualize he will be earning about 50 to 60,000 per month, and he should be a very active person, so that he is interested in the adventure activity offerings that you have. So you visualize that. You visualize, and then you make sure that there is a buyer's persona. You create that. And at the same time, you also put yourself, marketers need to put yourself into the shoes of that particular persona that they have created. Because once you put yourself in your shoes, then questions starts coming. Let's say there is a person, a father has to decide about the family trip. So if you put yourself in the shoes of that man, then you start to think, okay, this is with this motive I want to go for a trip. Now, to fulfill this type of motive, what are the products which are available? And if these are the products available, from where or from which source can I get information about this product? Then once you start thinking in that line, the marketer also start strategizing, looking for areas where he can put in his marketing strategy. Now, value propositions. Now, value proposition, it means a unique proposition which you have over the competitors' offering. It is a unique positioning, selling propositions that you have. What identifies you, or what makes you unique, or what makes you stand out from the competing destination? This is the value propositions we are talking about. Then there should be certain specific goals that you have to keep in a marketing strategy, and this is required because when you implement a marketing strategy, there has to be certain goals which you have to measure with. If you fulfill that goal, that the marketing strategy is successful. If the goal is not met, then the marketing strategy is not successful. If it's not successful, then what prevents it from being successful? So you try to find out the drawbacks. So goal establishment is also very important. Then the communication strategy. What communication here, it involves more of a promotional strategy that you will, or the tactics that you would be using to reach your target markets. So these are the various components of the marketing strategy which a tourism marketer has to keep in mind while strategizing what next to do or what next to go and reach out to the target market. Now, it is very imperative for the marketer to understand, perceive and carefully analyze the current tourism trends. Now, this is relevant because of a number of reasons. It will help the marketers to upgrade or add value to the product. It will also mean enlarging the market segments that already exist. And moreover, if you study the older trends also, then they themselves have new ideas which can be converted into new trends, right? So this is where knowing the market travel trends is also very important. This is a pre-COVID-19 findings of the National Geographic magazine, wherein they have given certain travel trends in 2020, carbon offsetting. People are becoming more conscious about not adding to the carbon footprint. So they are also trying to buy carbon offsets. They are donating money, they are volunteering buying, so that whatever carbon footprints that they have contributed, they are trying to negate that. It is in terms of maybe buying that offset, and this offset, it is used, the money is used in rehabilitation or a afforestation project. Now, microcation is also another trend which is coming up, which is, this means smaller holidays. Instead of taking say 15 days or 10 days long holidays, overhaul holidays, people are concentrating more on weekends, 2-3 days of shorter holidays, which is, but they are taking it frequently. So microcation is another term which is coming up. Then green hotels check-in. Many people are subscribing themselves to be green tourists. So they are likely to book for hotels which have got the green concept ingrained into their operations. So you, if you are a very conscious or a responsible traveler, when you have a different options of booking accommodation, you look for an accommodation which are fulfilling or following the green criteria in terms of maybe water harvesting, in terms of maybe not giving plastic straws, in terms of giving, maintaining a healthy environment, or giving you organic food made from organic vegetables. So these are certain areas which are creeping in, and it is a big takeoff that we have. Then single-use plastic phase out is also happening. People are traveling with their own cups, and so that they don't depend upon the single-use plastic. The climate change and the climate crisis which is happening, it is impacting everybody. And with the COVID-19 situation, pandemic which is happening right now, everything is in a standstill. The travel industry is in a standstill. But this is also one area where lessons have to be learned, and we are learning. Why all these things are happening? Because Mother Nature or Mother Earth does not have the capability to sustain all the abuses and all the extra activities or the burden that we are giving it to her. So this, when even after the COVID-19 period is over and we are coming back to the former normal, might not be, it will take a longer time and we don't know. But as and when travel resumes again, people would be more conscious, people would be more environmental friendly, people will be looking apart not only from social distancing, they will also be looking at giving less and lesser of negative impact to the destination. Giving back is also one trend which is coming up, and then you are volunteering, and then you are, when you go to a destination, you are integrating or you are interacting more with the people there, and you're trying something to help out the destination which you are visiting. Then women-only trips is again another important trend which is coming up. Wellness vacation, which is reconnecting with nature, is another big important steps which is coming up. And then we have need rejuvenation or the agricultural travel for agricultural purposes. Agricultural in the sense people, they want to go back to where it all started. So we have urban people residing in urban cities and towns going to rural and village areas to look at how farming takes place, how all these poultry things and where your food where your food which is on your plate are coming from. So they are going back and they are exploring all that. So this is another area. Organic food wave is there, and then tasting local foods and local cuisine when you go to a destination. So these are travel trends which are coming, which are being seen now, and it is the marketer's responsibility to take this into account when you are strategizing your marketing strategy. There are various forms of tourism marketing trends. You have the experiential marketing. Tourism is all about experiences. And in experiential marketing, it is a form of marketing where the product or the offerings or the services, they are shown or they are interacted with the potential consumer in a very real life experience, giving them a real life experience. For example, KLM Airlines, what they do is they have in big cities like New York and Amsterdam, they have put up the touch screens, and where passerbys, they can give a virtual high five, and they record that, and so it gives people a kind of interactive feeling with the real destination through a virtual form. You are not, it might not be the real one, but they have recreated the real destination and giving a feel. And a contest is also held wherein maybe one or two people will be getting a free ride on the airlines. Now, digital marketing, it is all about increasing your visibility in the social media sphere, and tourism is and hospitality industry is one sector which has jumped onto it in a very at its initial stage only. So we have lots of digital marketing happening over Facebook, then you have Instagram, Pinterest. So these are areas using social media as a form of marketing, of getting across to your clients or to the potential tourists. And with virtual reality and artificial intelligence, and it is becoming a phenomenal form of marketing, and real life interaction is there. And nowadays it is not only about video recordings which is given, it is more also about what happens when you have the live streaming sessions which is being done for marketing purposes. Then we have direct marketing. Direct marketing is very important in a sector like tourism, because here then it becomes necessary for you to come direct face to face with your clients, with the prospective tourist who is coming to your destination. Relationship marketing, it has been there from, it is an age-old concept which is gaining much importance, and in an industry like tourism, that the type of relationship that you maintain with your customer is very important. You have to make the tourists feel important, your potential tourists feel important, tourists feel valued, because, and this is where it differentiates your style of marketing with other form of marketing which your customer is doing. So examples of marketing strategies, there can be concentration or penetration, which is existing products and services in existing markets. This is like you sell these present products to the existing customer base by doing a better job, or by modifying them, by adding more and more features into it. Product or service development, modified products for existing customers. Then market development, this includes selling existing products to new customer segments and enlarging the market. And then we also have strategic alliances. So this is a cooperation between companies, and it is becoming a big form of marketing. And there are, again, we also need to know, as tourism growth increases, we have different factors for that. The growth of say disposable income. More and more people are having more and more disposable income because of the living standard and salaries, increased structures. And then we also have modern technology, which is contributing to the growth of tourism in terms of transportations. Advanced transportation facilities are there in terms of infrastructure. So as tourism grows, and as destination they are exploring all the tourism revenue generating area which tourism represents, it is becoming very important for marketers to concentrate on, identify their target market. So understanding the travel motives is one of the basic thing which a marketer needs to do. And today in this session we have talked about, we have identified the travel marketers, and we have tried to categorize them into groups. We have also looked at some of the theories, the push and the pull theory, and then based on Maslow's hierarchical need model, we have also seen a few which can be replicated or which are being modeled into the tourism scenario. And we have also looked at some of the travel trends which our tourism marketer needs to know. So this is all I have for today. Thank you for a patient hearing.